When did you realize someone you loved was in danger? My sister Annalise asked me to pick her up from the airport after her month in Colombia with her creepy boyfriend Wyatt. She said Wyatt had to fly to Miami for work so she'd be alone. Annalise came through customs looking pale and sweaty, dragging a new suitcase I'd never seen before. When I hugged her, she was trembling and her shirt was soaked through with sweat. She kept looking over her shoulder at the security checkpoint, flinching every time a uniformed officer walked by. I asked if she was sick, and she said she was just tired from the flight, but her eyes were darting everywhere, never meeting mine. Walking through the terminal, she insisted on pulling her suitcase herself, even though it was clearly heavy and she was struggling. When I reached for it, she actually yanked it away and snapped at me not to touch it. That wasn't like Annalise at all. She kept checking her phone obsessively, typing and deleting messages, and I caught a glimpse of Wyatt's name with about 50 missed calls underneath it. We passed the first security checkpoint and Annalise started walking faster, almost running. I had to grab her arm to slow her down because people were staring. She was muttering something about needing to get to the car right now, that we had to leave immediately. Her pupils were huge and she kept scratching at her arms like something was crawling on her skin. When I asked what was wrong, she laughed this high, manic laugh and said everything was perfect, just perfect, while tears rolled down her face. At the bathroom, she said she needed to go but begged me to watch her suitcase and not let anyone near it. The second she was gone, I noticed the suitcase had fresh scratches all around the lock like someone had pried it open and resealed it. There was also a weird chemical smell coming from it, something sharp and wrong. A drug dog and handler walked by and the dog immediately turned toward the suitcase, pulling on its leash. The handler looked at me and I tried to act normal, but my heart was pounding. They kept walking, but the handler was talking into his radio. Annalise came back looking worse, makeup running, hands visibly shaking. She grabbed the suitcase and started speed walking toward the exit. I followed, trying to ask what Wyatt had done, but she kept saying, "He loves me, he loves me, he loves me," over and over like a prayer. More security appeared ahead of us, checking random people, and Annalise froze completely. She turned to walk the other way, but there were officers behind us too. "Did Wyatt give you anything to bring back?" I whispered, and she started crying harder. She said he'd given her a new suitcase as a gift, that hers had broken, that he'd already packed it for her as a surprise. She hadn't even looked inside it. The drug dog team was circling back toward us, the dog straining against its leash, and I realized we were being surrounded. Officers were moving to block the exits, trying to be subtle but failing. Annalise noticed too and grabbed my hand so tight it hurt. "He said if anything went wrong, I should say I don't know what's in there," she whispered. "He said to act surprised. He said they couldn't prove I knew." Her voice was getting higher, more panicked, but there's so much of it. I could feel how heavy it was. I knew something was wrong, but I loved him, and I thought the dog was 10 feet away, pulling hard toward us. The handler was staring directly at me, hand on his radio. Other passengers were being directed around us, creating an empty circle with us in the center. Annalise was hyperventilating, saying Wyatt had promised to marry her, that he'd said this one trip would set them up for life. She kept saying she was supposed to meet him in Miami tomorrow, that he had the ring, that they were going to start fresh, but her phone showed he'd blocked her number while she was in the air. An announcement came over the loudspeaker asking passengers to remain calm and follow officer instructions. That was never good. Annalise's legs gave out and I had to hold her up. She was whispering about prison, about how she couldn't go to prison, about how mom would never forgive her. The dog was barking now, loud and aggressive, straining toward the suitcase. I could see at least 12 officers converging on our position, hands on their weapons. Annalise looked at me with pure terror in her eyes. "They execute people for this in some countries," she whispered. "Wyatt told me that like it was a fun fact. He knew what he was doing to me." She started laughing again, that same manic sound, saying Wyatt probably never even went to Miami, that he was probably already in another country with another girl, packing another suitcase. The dog lunged at the suitcase, barking frantically. Officers rushed us from all sides, screaming commands. Annalise grabbed my arm and pulled me close. "He said it was just jewelry," she said, her voice dead. I knew he was lying, but I brought it anyway because I thought he loved me. The officers reached us, weapons drawn, shouting for us to get on the ground. Full story on the channel below.